A Namibian sister calls out Germans, specifically those that travel to Namibia, and act so shocked that Namibia's population is less than what it used to be. This is what she had to say. We'll come back and discuss.
I find it so funny when German tourists come to Namibia and they're like, oh my God, Namibia is so empty. The streets are so empty. Where are the Namibians? Germany, you genocided us in the beginning of the 20th century. 80% of Namas and Hereros were wiped out, Germany. You put Namibians in concentration camps, Germany. You had Namibian women cleaning the skulls of other Namibians so that your scientists could test whether we are the same species, Germany. We've been negotiating with you for years to return the skulls of the people that you killed and exterminated in Namibia, Germany. You refuse to pay us reparations, Germany. That's where all the Namibians are. That's why we're empty.
It's always so bizarre to see people pretending or acting like they don't know that they've caused so much harm, or at least their ancestors, and they act like they don't know their history. And I like how she reminded the former colonial power, Germany, of what happened. And as you know, and as our sister mentioned, the genocide they have committed in Namibia, they still haven't compensated them for that. They agreed to actually pay, I believe, about 1 billion euros, but then it never happened because Namibia said, no, that's not enough. You have to pay up more.
Namibia rejects Germany's reparation offer for colonial era mass killings. They say it's not acceptable. Namibia President Hage Geingob says his government has turned down Germany's offer of compensation for colonial era killings, calling it not acceptable. The president said in a statement that Germany has continued to call efforts to seek redress with the government and those affected in the conflict, healing of wounds instead of reparation. German troops killed up to 80,000 of Herero and Nama people in the southern African country between 1904 and 1908 in response to an anti-colonial uprising. According to historians, the bloody conflict happened when the Herero indigenous people revolted against colonial troops over land seizure. Germany, which today gives development aid to Namibia, offered its first formal apology for the conflict in 2004. Both countries have been in talks since 2015 to negotiate compensation for the massacre by German colonial forces. So far, 8 rounds of negotiation have taken place between the countries.
And it was just recently that they have actually admitted and apologized. In 2021 is when they said, oh, my bad. Yes, it seems like we did commit a genocide and we've unalived a lot of people in your country. But to be honest, not a lot of European countries even admit to the atrocities that they've committed in African countries because mainly they don't want to accept that they did it so they don't have to pay. We don't have a conversation of reparations and pay for what you have done, for what your ancestors have done. They never want to hear about that. So they don't verbatim apologize or accept the atrocities that their people committed in African countries. But at least Germany has accepted it. It's just now they're not agreeing on how much they should pay Namibia. But that's what our sister was touching up on. What do you mean? Why are you acting surprised that we are where we are? Because of you. That's why we're here. And it's a good reminder when it comes to people that pretend and act like they don't know. It's part of rewriting history, and we've seen it happen, changing the narrative. We always need to call it out. We need to say, hold up, that's not true. That's not the history. If you need a reminder, I'll give it to you. Because that's how they slowly change the history and the narrative, and we should not accept that to happen. Anyways, fam, let us know down below what your thoughts are about this. I am Wangel Zalalam. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.